News here. I'm Seher Zama. We're making a start with an interesting observation that's coming from the Pakistan Supreme Court Bar Association. It has in fact raised a strong objection to the military courts that function within Pakistan. Now, the president of the Pakistan Supreme Court Bar Association, Mr. Syed Ali Zafar, is saying that he does not support the parallel functioning of the military courts in Pakistan. Remember that these courts were earlier instituted originally by their dictator General Zia-ul-Haq, then reinstated much later by Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif in 2015. The Pakistan Supreme Court Bar Association has dubbed the existence of these military courts as an invasion on the authority of the judiciary in Pakistan. They've been criticized for their lack of transparency, where the person being tried is not allowed to defend himself either. The case here being in point from our experience, of course, more specifically speaking here, would be that of Kulbhushan Jadhav, with him having been given the death penalty by a military court in Pakistan. Can this be legally supported and justified?
It is good that there are different voices in Pakistan which question the government of Pakistan, the army of Pakistan. It is a positive sign that still there is hope. People of Pakistan as a whole do not approve what the government of Pakistan is doing or the army in Pakistan is doing.
Let's in fact take this question forward or open up this discussion with our guest this afternoon. We have with us Mr. Ashok Sajjan, our former diplomat from our Noida studio right here with us. Appreciate you being with us. In your view, is this a strong statement here that's coming from the Pakistan Supreme Court Bar Association president? Is this going to further help perhaps to nullify the very existence of the military courts there?
You know, the manner in which I see it is that, number one, it's not the first time that they have come out in criticizing the institution of the military courts. And so it has been functioning for the last 2 years plus.
Yeah.
And there have been a number of death sentences that have been issued by this military court, and they have been carried out. So we can look upon it that it is some solace, some support as far as we are concerned, because this is exactly the point that we have been making, that till date, neither we nor the accused, Kulbhushan Jadhav, he has a charge sheet of what he is accused of, a detailed charge sheet, in terms of what is the evidence that has been produced, what is the legal help that has been provided to him. What Mr. Sartaj Aziz says is that all the, according to the law of the land, he has been charged and he has been provided with legal help and assistance, and it has been a transparent exercise.
Right.
We cannot see any transparency anywhere. It has been totally opaque, and so much so that 13 requests for
and even the 14th one, which is just being sent, has also been shot down. We're going to be getting in more voices here on this, sir, as well. We have Commodore retired G.J. Singh with us as well. Also, Mr. Syed Ali Zafar, I beg your pardon, with us. First to you, Mr. Zafar, as far as this observation here that's coming from the Pakistan Supreme Court Bar Association president, what does this mean for the existence of military courts in Pakistan?
Actually, the military courts have been set up because it was felt generally in Pakistan that terrorist cases have not been properly dealt with by our civilian judicial system. And there were 3 reasons for it: because judges who were dealing with the cases didn't feel protected. Number 2, the witnesses would not come forth because they were scared. And also because the prosecution itself was under threat. So they were not able to put the cases through, and what used to happen was that terrorists would get free. So what eventually they did was the parliament decided that we should set up military courts, because those courts are the only ones that can deal with...
That's right. But Mr. Zafar, you've of course made a very strong statement against the existence of these courts. How do you think this could be raised further, which perhaps could stop them from functioning in this manner?
No, so I'll just want to explain that. So what happened was that the Parliament passed a constitutional amendment and gave authority to the army courts to try these terrorist cases with certain safeguards in the law.
Okay.
The matter went to the Supreme Court initially, and the Supreme Court of Pakistan said that, look, this law is fine because it has been laid down by the parliament and we can't interfere with constitutional amendments. But because it technically violates human rights, be it of terrorists or be it of anyone else, but because potentially it has a grave chance of violating human rights, therefore we will do a judicial review of all decisions that have been taken by the military courts.
Okay.
And on that basis, the military courts were set up for a limited period of time to enable the civilian courts to then take over and, to have the procedural changes and legal reforms so that these normal courts could then function.
So what really was, Mr. Zafar, what really
happened was, yes.
What really was this
happened
limited?
was that-
Okay.
Right. So what happened was that after 2 or 3 years, when the time finished, the government had not actually done anything to bolster the civilian court system. And so they had to extend the time for another few years. And the Supreme Court Bar Association now feels that that extension is not justified.
Okay.
Because they had given the first extension in the 3 years, and which was all right for, that sunset clause was there. But since the government didn't do anything for the 2-3 years that they had, therefore now just giving an extension without explaining what were the reasons for not doing anything in terms of the civilian courts and legal reform.
Okay. Mr. Zafar, also wanting to understand, we appreciate you speaking to us and explaining the entire history of the reinstatement of the military courts by Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif in the year 2015. We're wanting to understand on what this means for the verdict that was given of death penalty to our Indian citizen Kulbhushan Jadhav. This was given, of course, in the period of the extension, which you say is illegal, and at the same breath also slamming the very manner in which these military courts function. Could we then maintain that this verdict by the military court on Kulbhushan Jadhav stands absolutely nullified effectively?
No, actually, we have to differentiate between the cases that are being dealt with against terrorists and a trial under the Army Act. Now, in terms of the terrorist cases, yes, there's a constitutional amendment and there's a direct right of the Supreme Court to have a judicial review of any sentences passed by the military courts trying terrorists. But under the Army Act, if you're trying someone for espionage or some other offense,
right,
then they have a complete different setup, and there is no direct appeal to a civilian forum against the order of an army.
So you're saying under the Army Act, even cases pertaining to spy and espionage could be heard in the military court itself?
Correct. That's what the Army Act says.
Okay.
And now there is a right under the Constitution that if any order by any authority is coram non judice, or it is without jurisdiction, or it is mala fide, or it is on the face of the record, it is wrong, then there is a chance or an option to have a judicial review of that order.
So is there an option for a judicial review on this order that is coming on Kulbhushan Jadhav?
Well, it has never. Many times people have tried to challenge Army court decisions under the Army Act, but in our judicial history, there is not a precedent that I can remember offhand.
But is that a possibility? Can this go under judicial review?
Yes, everybody has a chance to try and file a judicial review, yes. But whether it's going to be maintainable or it's going to be decided by the court is another issue. But yes, everybody has a right to go to court and challenge under Article 199.
Please stay on with us. Wanting to get in Commodore G.J. Singh with us as well, who's been holding the line on this. Commodore G.J. Singh, in your view, we of course, with all due respect to systems and procedures that exist in Pakistan, are trying to follow those procedures, even though we've stood strongly against that verdict of the illegally tagging of Kulbhushan Jadhav as a spy caught under espionage activities there. Do you think there is a possibility here that India could also pursue this as pushing for a judicial review there on this verdict?
Of course, it can push for a judicial review in Pakistan because you see the military law on both sides of the divide, on both sides of the border is almost the same. We have inherited our Army Act and so is Pakistan from the Britishers. There's hardly any difference between the two Army Acts. It was the same Army Act under which we are now and the same Army Act which is being implemented in Pakistan. In our courts, we are very transparent. We come out with the evidence, come out with the person who is persecuting. We also have the proper defense counselors for the accused. For example, in this case, a spy, as alleged spy, I would say. And therefore, what we are encountering is the difficulty with us, or the difficulty that we are encountering is that the Pakistan court had been completely opaque. It is completely what you call, non-transparent. We do not know. One fine morning, we hear the verdict that he has been sentenced to death. Not our, High Commissioner in Pakistan was not even informed. So this is something which is, like as we are saying, a kangaroo court.
Absolutely. And we hit a brick wall on this. Mr. Zafar, appreciate you holding the line. Please stay on with us, Mr. Zafar, on this as well, because it's important to get in these voices. Yes, Master Sajjan, you wanted to come in on this, on the options that India has now on this development, or what Mr. Zafar has stated on the military courts there.
Indeed. What has been said by, one of the speakers, that the Army Act on both sides of the border is the same. It might be the same. But I think in the manner in which it is implemented, the manner in which trials take place, that of course we can see that there is a world of difference, because what is being mentioned here, that in our cases we have transparency, we have defense counsels, we have everything. What we have seen on the other side, what he's mentioned, that our High Commissioner didn't know, it appears that even the Pakistan President didn't know. So Prime Minister didn't know about it. He also came to know on the date, on I think the 10th of April, when the verdict was announced, that the Pakistan establishment also really came to know of it at that particular time. I think we really, also I think, as far as I know, I could be subject to correction, that under the Indian Army Act that we follow, we do not try foreigners under that. That is only to try our own servicemen who have committed certain crimes or who are accused of certain crimes. Only they can be tried under that and not foreigners. You don't bring in foreigners to be tried under Indian Army Act. I think we also really need to find clarity in what has been said. That is the judicial review and the clemency mercy petition. Are they the same? Are they different? Do they run in parallel? Because what has been mentioned, what Mr. Sartaaj has mentioned yesterday, that Mr. Kulbhushan Jadhav has 40 days to appeal to either the Chief of Army Staff or to the Supreme Court. Prior to that, the Defense Minister had said that he has 60 days. So I think there is a lack of clarity there
Lack
also.
of clarity on the options available. Of course, we would want to exercise those options, still wanting to respect their system and procedure there. Very quick question to you, Mr. Zafar, before I get in more breaking inputs here on this. On the repercussions of this, would you be well aware, Mr. Zafar, of the repercussions of this very case? There is much global pressure now on Pakistan. As far as functioning of these military courts there is concerned, India could well go ahead to the ICJ and take up this case. ICJ.
Well, first of all, I just want to correct something, some impression that some of your speakers have raised, as if the proceedings under Pakistan Army Act are not transparent. I would like to just very briefly refute that first. and state that yes, we also have the same procedures more or less as India has under the Army Act.
Okay.
And the more or less as India has under the Army Act.
Okay.
And the right to counsel, the right of fair hearing, all that is obviously very much present in this case also.
But
if there
where
has
is
been a
that being
violation of any
practiced?
such-
Mr. Zafar,
Yes,
where
and
is
if
that
there
being
has been a-
practiced in Kulbhushan Jadhav's case? It can exist on paper.
Well, I'm sure it's being practiced because there's a record for it. And let me put it this way also, that if there hasn't been a fair trial, if there hasn't been any, if there have been procedural lapses,
Yes.
there's defense counsel, etc., then of course a judicial review lies. So, and the judicial review lies to a high court, which is an independent court, and the proceedings there are open and transparent, just like the high courts in Delhi.
So
and
we're hoping, of course, Kulbhushan Jadhav would be
so-
given that option. But please stay on with us because we have more developments coming in on this very front. The breaking inputs here coming in that we're looking at the possibility of an absolute global isolation here of Pakistan pertaining to this particular case. India, of course, has continued to send out a stern message on exposing Pakistan's lies over the death sentence there that was given to Kulbhushan Jadhav. Iran has stepped in on this as well, has now cautioned Islamabad for launching a vilification campaign on the basis of those allegations that was made by their Karachi Don Uzair Baloch. Iran's warning there to Pakistan. It comes in a day after India had sought both the charge sheet as well as the verdict copy from Pakistan, putting forth fresh demands on this case. Foreign Affairs Editor Geeta Mohan getting us further details here. Geeta, please go ahead.
Well, that's right. Iran has, in a statement, an official statement, Seher, come out and outrightly rejected all the claims made by none other than the Pakistani advisor on foreign affairs, Sartaj Aziz. He had said that Uzair Baloch was in touch with not just Indian intelligence agencies and Kulbhushan Jadhav, but also was working in tandem and with the help and support of foreign agencies, hinting at Iran. Iran has not taken that very lightly. A very strong statement coming in from Pakistan's neighbor and a partner of India in many ways than one, understanding the issue, the sensitivity, and very clearly keeping off it. Yes, there is a strong message, Seher, that has come across from Iran to Pakistan, and it absolutely kills Pakistan's whole claim and story of evidence that Pakistan is putting out, one which has not been shared with India, but Pakistani media is reporting through plants in Pakistan that the charge sheet has been shared with India. And while that has not been done, the evidences now fall flat, with Iran coming out and outrightly rejecting this. Also, this goes on to a different level of vilification that we're seeing from Pakistan, not just of India, but also of Iran, which certainly will lead to isolation of Pakistan if Pakistan continues with its antics.
That's right. Stay on with us, Geeta. Mr. Zafar, if you'd get in your first reaction on this. We're looking at the possibility now regarding this case, your country, Pakistan, being at loggerheads with Iran now.
I think that is not correct. You see, you have to understand something about Pakistan, that we have been, I think, the country that has faced and is facing the largest wave of terrorism faced by any country in the world in history. And we are trying our best as a civil society, as lawyers, as judges, as the military, to cope with these people. And it's a very difficult time indeed.
Okay.
Now, in that regard, we are still maintaining our human rights, and we have got our NGOs and our courts and our people who are functioning and wanting to protect even the rights of those who violate our laws. Now that, I think, has to be appreciated. Generally, the public in Pakistan is a very friendly, loving people. We are peaceful. We want to see growth of everyone. And so we have nothing against Iran as such. Iran is the same religion. It is a neighbor country. We have wonderful relationships. So these small issues, I think, are not, they can't be overblown.
But
These are
Mr.
people
Zafar, as
so-called
far as we're
diplomatic
concerned, we are looking at this, of course, keeping in mind with these developments of the Kulbhushan Jadhav case, irrespective of what familiarity or bonhomie that you say you have with Iran. Our concern here being that Iran's stand effectively exposes Pakistan's so-called fabrication, that entire theory that Kulbhushan Jadhav was an Indian spy and someone like Uzair Baloch was helping him with information and was operative in India as well. What do you think, Mr. Sajjanar?
No, absolutely, you are right, and when what Mr. Zafar says that NGOs and other organizations, civil society organizations are fighting in Pakistan against terrorists. But I think there should also be this realization and recognition that all terrorist attacks that are taking place in Pakistan are as a result of the policies of the Pakistan establishment, Pakistan Army and the other agencies. So they really have to look inwards when they want to control the terrorist attacks there, and also stop helping those agencies like Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Haqqani Network, which are spreading terrorist attacks elsewhere. As far as this is concerned, I think
they're still wanting to differentiate between good terror and bad terror, one that suits their argument there. Commodore GJ is saying, as far as this development concerning what Iran's stand has been, this would further reinforce India's argument to take this to the international platform in support of Iran's stand.
You see, first of all, it has become very clear that Iran has outrightly rejected all the charges which Pakistan is leveling against Kulbhushan Jadhav. Moreover, you see, Pakistan intelligence should know that Iran must also be in the know of the fact that he has been kidnapped from Shah Bahar, or he has been kidnapped by the Taliban, as per the statement of German ambassador to Pakistan, Gunter Malak, that he has been kidnapped by the Taliban and handed over to ISI and for a price. And now the Pakistan military and the ISI is trying to cash upon it, probably trying to, project an image to the rest of the world that India is engaging in destabilizing, Pakistan. In fact, in one of their statements, they have mentioned that India is trying to create disturb in Balochistan and destabilize whole of Pakistan. And mind you, if you very carefully analyze, how can one-man demolition squad or a one-man wolf can, carry out the attacks and the charges which they have leveled in their charge sheet. Attacks in Pasni, attacks in Turbat, attacks in Gavadar, attacks in Jiwani and Quetta,
right,
and all those places. It is including Sibi. It is impossible.
Impossible,
so they are
and to the extent of sounding
him
absurd.
as if he is a Rambo, he is something. It's impossible.
Right.
It got to have certain, reality, certain touch of, practicality, whether it can be done or not by one man. So their charges are totally been rejected by Iran, is a step in the right direction that Pakistan need to revise its approach towards this case. Pakistan has to come out with the facts and figures, with the evidence on charges on
Yes.
which he has been,
And as far as India is concerned, the efforts, the tireless efforts on part of India, of course, in two demands specifically that were put forth there in a crucial meeting that had taken place just yesterday between India